A very good evening to all of you. I welcome you to my live session on this very important topic of loan management. So, as we go along this evening, talking about this very important topic, which people face in their daily lives, that is regarding the loans. So today, friends, we will be talking about something which has been a part of our lives since many years. The first point that we would like to talk about and start from is, I am reminded of a quote by Warren Buffett, who said that the best way to avoid debt is to not take it at all. Now, all our lives, from our parents, हमने यही सुना है कि जितनी चादर उतने पैर. And to be debt free was something to be actually be proud of. Cut to the present times, when consumption based life is the way to go, we find that a debt or a loan is actually a very useful thing. It helps us to meet our many requirements, which could be to do with our lifestyle, upgrading our lifestyles, managing to actually have liquidity in the current times. So many things can be actually be used, which would be helpful to actually help us to manage our finances better. So today, when we talk about these things, it's no big surprise that, you know, the bankers, so many people, the NBFCs, they get after us about, you know, कि आप loan ले लीजिए, loan is a special loan is available for you, and these kind of calls are very common. I'm sure each one of you would have received these kind of calls one time or the other. But friends, जितना आसान लोन को लेना है, उतना ही मुश्किल उसको मैनेज करना है. कई बार ये क्वेश्चन उठता है कि हम कितना लोन लें, कितना लोन हमारे लिए बेस्ट रहेगा, कितना EMI हम अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं. What is the break even point in a loan? What are the kinds of loans which are useful to us and the loans which are not so useful to us, and actually they are like a debt trap. So today, friends, I will be talking about these things in the next about 5 or 10 minutes. I will be covering in two parts. Today, we are going to talk about the types of loans and the various intricacies involved with a loan. और इसके बाद फ्रेंड्स, मैं आपसे बात करूंगी एक बहुत ही पॉपुलर लोन के बारे में, जो कि है होम लोन. So going forward, without wasting any time, let us think that why do people actually take loans? लोन लेने की जरूरत क्या है? Well, in India, the statistics say that almost half the working population has taken some kind of the loan or the other. And an equal number of people are possibly waiting to take a loan. So जब इतने सारे लोन लोग ले रहे हैं, तो ये किस चीज के लिए लेते होंगे? Well, the major reason why Indians take loans is to buy houses, buy white goods. Actually, in other words, they would be also buying loans to actually upgrade their lifestyles or to meet the demands of their families. So it could be of any expense. It could be even a marriage, take a vacation. And some people actually go overboard. They actually take sometimes loan to invest. Well, that remains debatable. कि वो एक अच्छा कारण है लोन लेने का कि नहीं है, वो एक debatable issue है. फिलहाल, what we can talk about is a home loan or an education loan is definitely a good option. So people also take sometimes personal loans to pay off another loan. Well, that is also debatable whether it's a good idea or not. Whatever said and done, people take loans. The real reason is actually to either upgrade their lifestyle and to actually postpone the payments to a sometime in the future. So एक तरीके से आप अपने expenses को एक future time के लिए postpone कर देते हैं. अब देखते हैं ये तरह के लोन होते कितने हैं. So basically there are only two types of loans. One is a secured loan and an unsecured loan. Secured loan वो होते हैं जिसके लिए एक कोलैटरल की आवश्यकता होती है, और वहां वो इसीलिए वो सिक्योर्ड कहलाते हैं, और वहां पे जो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट होता है वो दूसरे लोन्स के कंपैरिजन में कम होता है. Now these secured loans are like home loans or loan against property, insurance policies, mutual funds, fixed deposits, shares, gold loans. All these are secured loans, क्योंकि इसमें एक आप अपने कोलैटरल, अपनी प्रॉपर्टी या अपनी उस इन्वेस्टमेंट को कोलैटरल रख देते हैं. अनसिक्योर्ड लोन्स वो होते हैं जिसमें कोलैटरल की जरूरत नहीं होती और इनका रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट थोड़ा ज्यादा होता है, जैसे कि एजुकेशन लोन, पर्सनल लोन, कंप्यूटर लोन, क्रेडिट कार्ड लोन एंड सिमिलर थिंग्स. नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, when we are taking a loan, what are the basic things that we should keep in mind? So before that, we must understand what are the components of a loan. So before taking a loan, you must consider that उसके ऊपर obvious बात है ब्याज कितना है या interest rate कितना है. Now some of the times, some of the loans come at a cheaper rate and some loans come at a higher rate. But one thing is there that many loans have a fixed and a floating rate option. तो ये fixed क्या होता है? Fixed loan वो होता है जिसके ऊपर एक फिक्स रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट आपको चार्ज होता है, जो कि आपको शुरू में ही बता दिया जाता है. एंड दैट फिक्स रेट continues for the entire tenure of the loan. Floating is that which can change as per the interest rate changes in the environment. Now you must have seen that in the past few months, the interest rates have been rising, which means that your home loan interest is also, the rate is also rising if it was a floating rate. So in such a scenario, obviously a fixed loan would be better. But since we do not know what is going to happen in the future, when you are taking a loan, see the interest rate movement and see the yields where they are going. So basically, if it's a downtrend in the interest rate scenario, then it may be a good idea to take a floating rate and vice versa. Second thing to consider is the tenure. लेकिन जब हम टेन्योर की बात करते हैं तो हमें ये वाली बात को समझना चाहिए कि हमारी मंथली सेविंग्स कितनी है, क्योंकि उसका डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट हमारी टेन्योर का डायरेक्ट इम्पैक्ट हमारी मंथली सेविंग्स पे आता है. इसका मतलब अगर आप लंबा लोन लेंगे तो आपको कम ईएमआई देना होता है, और आप छोटा लोन लेंगे तो आपको ज्यादा ईएमआई देना पड़ सकता है. द लास्ट थिंग टू कंसिडर इज जनरली व्हाट इज योर पेइंग कैपेसिटी. मतलब आपके पास क्या एक रेगुलर जॉब है या आप एक बिजनेसमैन है, आपके पास सोर्सेज ऑफ इनकम क्या है, उसके हिसाब से एक लोन को लेना बेहतर होता है. द नेक्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट इज द टेन्योर. तो बेसिकली इन इंडिया the banks will easily offer you a 30-year loan as well, maximum. So, but the tenure could be even minimized. It could be 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, whatever is your requirement. Basic aim is that we must understand that we should try to get debt-free by the time we are going to retire. So considering that the retirement date is your time period when the loan should finish, that should be one parameter to decide the tenure of the loan. The second, I've already discussed, the EMI paying capacity. So whatever is your EMI paying capacity, you should take a loan accordingly. Now we must understand, if you take a short tenure loan, then the EMI burden will be more, but the interest outgo would be higher, which means the loan will be more optimized. And the longer tenure loan, obviously the rate of interest would be, the interest outgo would be higher, and it would even be an expensive loan. But ये एक ideal situation हमेशा possible नहीं होता है. कभी कभी क्या होता है कि हमारे पास ईएमआई को अफोर्ड करने के लिए फंड्स नहीं होते, तो इसलिए हम एक लंबा टेन्योर का लोन को चुन लेते हैं. ऐसे में आपके पास एक ऑप्शन होता है इज टू पे बैक एट रेगुलर इंटरवल्स. सो देयर इज अ पार्ट पेमेंट ऑप्शन अवेलेबल इन मोस्ट ऑफ द लोन्स व्हिच यू कैन डेफिनेटली यूज. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, if you get a bonus, if you get a salary raise, if you get a windfall, you can always part pay off the loan. The next thing is the EMI. Now, many people think that EMI means equal monthly installments. Actually, it is equated monthly installments. And the EMI starts once the full loan has been disbursed. In home loans, sometimes when you've taken the loan, but the full loan has not been disbursed, then that part is called the pre-EMI. Now, EMI has two components, the interest and the principal. Now, with passing times, what happens is the interest component keeps going down and the principal components keeps increasing. That is what is the deduction. So if you pay a loan early, which means that more interest outgo can be done in the earlier months. Many times people come to me and they ask me that what would be the right time to pay off their loans? What should be the break-even points? Now, to decide that, a very important and a very useful tool is the amortization plan. Now, what is an amortization plan? It is actually a chart which clearly reflects the part payment of interest and the principal part every month. So how much interest and how much principal you're paying every month is very clearly listed in the amortization plan. And that is from the date of taking the loan till the end time. So you can very well decide that what should be the point where you should be paying off the most of the loan back. Now, the interest is generally calculated on the outstanding principal on the first of every month. right? So if you are planning to pay off the loan, it would be a good idea to actually keep this in mind. Now, the provision of prepayment is sometimes you may have different options that you can actually prepay the loan. One option which is very common is that you can increase your EMIs. You can pay more. If you have the capacity, you should pay more. What will happen now is if you pay more, if you increase your EMIs, your tenure will reduce. And if the tenure reduces, your interest component will also automatically reduce. If you remember in 2020, during the Corona times, the government gave us an option to most of the loan payers to take a loan holiday, which meant that they needn't have paid their EMIs during that period. Now, it looked like a very attractive proposition, but what actually happened is that when you did not pay your EMI or you paid reduced EMI, actually your loan interest component increased and your loan component also increased. So it would be a good idea that if you can pay off on a timely fashion, you must try to increase your EMIs, or if you have a windfall, then make part payments. Let me explain this to you with an example. Let us imagine that you take a loan for 50 lakhs, and this is at the rate of 10%. The tenure, let's keep it at 20 years. So the EMI here would be about 48,000 per month. Now let us assume that your income rises 8 to 10% every year. Now, easily, some component of this increase can be factored into the increased EMIs. So let us imagine that you increase your EMI just by 5%. Do you have any idea that how much of your loan can get paid off? How much difference would be there? Your loan, instead of 20 years, now can be paid off in just 12 years. Similarly, अगर आप इसको 10% से बढ़ाते हैं, तो आप अपने लोन को सिर्फ 9 साल में खत्म कर सकते हैं. इसके अलावा कुछ और चीजें होती हैं, कुछ और टिप्स होती हैं, which I'm going to just share with you. So get ready. Friends, if you're liking this live session, then I would like you to subscribe to my channel for much more informative material just like this. Okay, getting back to the system. Suppose you take a loan for about 10 lakh rupees. The rate of interest, let's assume it at about 8.65%. Now here, the EMI would be about 9,900. Here, at the end of 15 years, which is the tenure that you have taken, the total payout would be about 17 lakhs 88,000 instead of 10 lakhs which you have taken, which means that the total interest that you have paid is about 7.88 lakhs. So let us assume that it's a floating rate and the interest rates are going down. And let us also imagine that you have you've got a 1% rebate on your interest. So instead of 8.65, now your interest rate stands at 7.65. Everything remains the same. Your EMIs go down by 500 rupees per month. Sounds peanuts, but do you know how much is the difference in the interest? Well, more than 1 lakh rupees. So see the difference. If you have a downward trending interest rate scenario, then it makes sense to actually go for the floating rate. Similarly, many people ask this question that where to take the loan from? Well, whoever gives you at the lowest rate and is dependable, you should go from there. But remember not to take it from unsecured agencies. Okay, let's also take another scenario. I had taken in the previous example that 15 years तक ये 10 लाख का लोन चलने वाला है. अभी हम इसको 15 years से घटाकर 10 साल कर देते हैं. I'm going to reduce the tenure. Let us keep the rate of interest at 8.65%. Of course, now what's going to happen is that the EMIs will go up from 9,500 to about 12,500 because the tenure has reduced. But here, there is a net saving of almost 4 lakh rupees in your interest, which means, and a loan which costed you about 17 lakhs, 88,000 will now cost you just about 14 lakhs, 90,000. So see the difference. So ideally, never ever go for that. If some bank is offering you a 30-year loan, that you should take it. You should try to weigh your options and then only go ahead and take a loan. If you have more questions, I would be more than happy to answer these. Kindly message and we would be getting back to you. Right. Let us take one more example. Now, sometimes what happens, I just mentioned in a while ago that you can do part payment. अब लेकिन part payment करें तो करें कितना? तो पहला ऑप्शन तो ये है कि अगर आपके पास जो भी पैसे हैं, आप उसको इकट्ठा करें और एक पीरियड के बाद से 5 साल बाद या 3 साल बाद उसको पे कर दें. दूसरा तरीका ये है कि आप अपने EMI को इंक्रीज कर दें. और तीसरा तरीका एक और है, अगर आप ये दोनों तरीके नहीं कर सकते हैं, मतलब हो सकता है कि आपके पास लिक्विडिटी नहीं है तो आप अपने EMI को नहीं बढ़ा पा रहे हैं, तो एक और तरीका ये है कि जब जब आपके पास पैसे हों तो आप इस बात को वेट मत करें कि इकट्ठा खूब सारा हो जाएगा तो पे करेंगे, जितना भी पैसा आता जा रहा है आप उस लोन को पे ऑफ करते रहें। इस एग्जाम्पल को मैं एक बहुत अच्छे से आपको समझाती हूँ. Let's assume that you have a loan again for 10 lakh rupees, and now here you are going to pay off loan a little amount every year for the next 5 years, right? So if you continue to pay off, then what is going to happen is that your interest outgo there would be a tax saving of almost 4,73,000. That means more than 50%. Vis-a-vis collecting the money and paying it off at the end of 5 years. So it might sound confusing, but the fact what I'm trying to drive across is, I'll surmise it in 3 or 4 lines. Number one, take a loan which is only as per your paying capacity, suits your tenure. Do not go and take a loan of a longer tenure. Try and avoid it. Second, if you have the surpluses, then try and pay off the part payment of the loan so that you are able to reduce the interest outgo. Number three, if you can, then increase your EMIs only. Whenever you have money and you can afford it, please do increase your EMIs on a regular basis. So it could be a top-up EMI kind of a thing. Otherwise, remember that if we do not do that, our loan has a negative compounding, which means like you make investment in an FD, so you have a compound interest and your value of your investment goes up. But here, the opposite happens. Your value of investment actually goes negative, right? So there's negative compounding and you must keep that in mind, right? Now the question happens कि हम जब लोन लेने जाते हैं तो बैंक हमारे लिए हम पे क्या देखता है? Like, how does the bank decide that we are eligible for a loan or not? What is the rate of interest that I should get a loan on? So you would have heard of something called a credit score, right? A credit score is something which a bank really depends on. And if your credit score is good, then you can actually bargain and take a loan on a cheaper rate. But if your credit score is bad, then you may have a risk of not getting a loan at all. So how do you increase your credit score? Simple. Ensure that all your EMIs are paid on time and ensure that you do have a clean record, right? The second thing is your source of income. A bank also sees that if you're a businessman, then maybe they would give you a loan at a higher rate. But if you are a salaried employee and have a surety of income every month, so maybe your loan would be at a lesser rate. Third is, you must remember one thumb rule, that your the EMI outgo should not be more than 30% of your carry home pay, right? It should, if you're earning 100 rupees, then your EMI should not be more than 30%. Otherwise, you're going to be into stress. You're going to be into debt stress. Now, some people have a very interesting method of managing this debt stress. You know what they do? It's called something called a credit card swapping. Very interesting. People take a number of credit cards and they continue to swap them to pay off. They take a loan on one credit card to pay off loan on another. Now, this may sound like an interesting idea, but is very, very dangerous and actually can land you into trouble. So stay away. In fact, stay away from any kind of credit card loans, because on a credit card loan, if you're unable to pay, you end up paying more than 3% on the interest. Okay. Let us see that what we should know before taking a loan. So as I said, firstly, only borrow as much as you can. So please refrain from getting into the trap of attraction that if somebody rings you up, like, sir, आप लोन के लिए eligible हैं, आप लोन ले लें, तो उसके ऊपर आप ध्यान रखें, जबरदस्ती का लोन लेने का फायदा नहीं है. Second is, never borrow for speculation. That means if you're going to borrow it and invest it into the share market, or if you're planning to take a loan and live beyond your means, it's not a good idea. Do have a clear payoff plan in your mind, how you're going to make the payment, right? One more important thing, many people take a loan just to save on taxes. And this happens primarily on a home loan. So people go in for a home loan so that they can save taxes. My advice is, take a home loan only if you need to buy a house, not just to save taxes. Keep your tenures as short as possible. In a 10-year plan, the interest, for example, is about 57% of the total loan taken. But the same interest can shoot up to 128% in a 20-year plan. So be careful on that part. So just to drive this home across a point, if you've taken a 50 lakh loan for 25 years, आप शायद 83 lakhs तो सिर्फ interest ही pay कर देंगे. तो इसलिए जब भी आप लोन को लें तो इस बात को जरूर ध्यान रखें. So, friends, there's something good about taking a loan, as I brought it about. You can actually buy something which you need to buy. You can send your children abroad for education, which costs high and your pocket may not allow, but you can take an education loan. You can buy a house to make your family comfortable. You can actually have more time value of money on your own funds if you take a loan. You can use your funds for better things if you take a loan and take a tax advantage as well on it. You have more liquidity. So these are the good part about a loan. Let's talk about what is the bad and the ugly. That is also important. The bad is the debt trap. So avoid a debt trap, getting into an uncomfortable position, having too high EMIs, having too high an outstanding loan, no liquidity. These are dangerous. Personal loans and vehicle loans should be paid out as soon as possible, and credit card loans should also be paid out on the correct date. The ugly is, as I just mentioned, the credit cards, because they charge a high penalty if you fail to pay it, and it's really like a trap where once you fall, it becomes difficult to get out if you do not clear your credit card bills. If you fail to pay an installment, the ugly part is that you are at risk of even spoiling your credit card history. So be careful, friends. This is some things that I wanted to speak to you about. I know that I did not touch upon a very important part, that is the home loans. So I have good news for you in my next live session, which we will soon be announcing to you. So do remember to subscribe. We are going to cover everything about home loans, everything that you needed to know. How much loan to take, how to manage that loan, how to ensure that you get the maximum benefit. Are you eligible to take a home loan on 2 houses? Can you take 2 benefits, tax benefits? All these are the questions that I will be answering in my next live session. Meanwhile, have a nice day. Keep posting your questions. And if you have any more things that you need to ask us, please do post here. Thank you so much. Have a great day.